I mean, the other part, too, of course, of that is that by having a registry that's so big with people that may not be at much greater risk, you've got more people on there. You may have, I don't know how many thousands of people on the registry, where you really should be looking out for maybe a couple hundred and focusing the attention in that direction.
Yeah. Let me ask the district attorney in conjunction with that, Walter. District Attorney Fowle, I know one of the things you're concerned about as a district attorney and as a prosecutor is the rehabilitation of people so that you're not seeing them back in court again. Is the registration law in any way a deterrent to that rehabilitation taking place, to these people getting reintegrated into society, finding a place to live, being able to find and hold a job, things of that nature?
With people who are truly amenable or receptive to rehabilitation, it is a barrier and it is a burden for them. I've really, in my own practice, I look for people that have sexually violated children under age 14 or people much, much older than their victims. That's where I really focus on. These are the people that we see time and time again. And if anyone asked me, that would be the design of my sex offender registry. I would have those people on it.
Okay. Rob Ruffner, our representative from the Criminal Defense Bar, the registration law too broad? We shouldn't have it at all? I mean, what's your perspective?
I think it probably is a little too broad the way it is right now, but we're going to have one because, as the representative said, this is a very emotional issue. And when I think the reason we have it, a sex offender registry as opposed to a car burglar registry, is that people, while they don't like getting their cars burglarized, aren't nearly as worried about a car burglar moving into the neighborhood as they are someone that has committed a sex offense. But we do need to look at a number of things, including, is it too broad? Is it actually helping keep populations safe, or are there so many people on it that it has really become meaningless? One of the other problems that I've seen with the registry in my practice is that the who is on it and who is off it has changed so much over the last decade or so, is that there are many people who, when they worked out their agreement taking responsibility for whatever their actions were not required to register, and they completed their sentence, completed their probation, and then they get a knock on their door 10, 15 years later and are told that there's this new punishment or scarlet letter that they have to wear that they did not have a chance to have any debate over or did not agree to, and in fact the judge did not, and even the prosecutor did not look to impose that sort of sanction. And that's one of the big problems that have come up in the past decade or so.
Right, and Walter, there's some litigation right now on exactly that topic.
Sure, there's pending litigation right here in Kennebec County involving a bunch of different counties being sued arising out of those issues, as well as 2 Maine Supreme Judicial Court cases still pending right now, waiting for a decision to find out if, after the fact, you're told to be placed on the registry, if that's considered ex post facto punishment, meaning you did your crime, you did your time, is being placed on the registry something of an additional punishment nature. The people on the other side would certainly argue, well, at least this is all public information in the first place. This is maybe a special registry, but the fact that you're convicted, you can go and find that out just by walking down to the Maine State Police, State Bureau of Identification, and getting that information.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about sentencing. Why don't we just take these people who have committed serious crimes and have very harsh mandatory sentences, because we know if they're sitting behind bars, they're not going to be reoffending. Mandatory sentences. Sheriff Liberty, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that when it's mandatory sentencing, I feel as though the district attorney and the judge loses some discretion, and based upon the age of the victim or how damaging the crime was, I feel as though they lose that discretion. That's an important part of the process.
One would think that prosecutors would welcome the opportunity to have minimum mandatory sentences. In a way, it places more power in your hands because you make the charging decision. Let me ask, and I know that's not the way you feel about it, Everett. First of all, if you have minimum mandatory sentences, does that cut down on the number of convictions you might get?
I think invariably it does, because if their only option is a 25-year sentence and they sense some frailty in our case, and a lot of our child sex abuse cases with young children as our victims aren't the strongest cases, and the traumatic effect it has on the victim can be even more injurious. And so that would force more people to trial, resulting in fewer convictions, fewer registered sex offenders, fewer sex offenders being supervised when they get out of prison. So we argued against it. We came up with an alternative that I think has really paid dividends and has improved the sentencing while at the same time maintaining the independence of the judiciary.
Representative Haskell, maybe you could tell us about that. And you heard the arguments on your committee for mandatory sentences. You heard them and apparently rejected them, but you came up with an interesting alternative.
That's true, and I guess I have to talk a little about mandatory sentences because I think that's not good public policy. I think in general we need to let the judiciary judge, let them decide and leave it in their hands. And I think when we take that away from them, then we're making decisions sometimes based on who's sitting in our audience right in front of us. Not what's the best piece of judicial temperament around that, but who's out there and how emotional the issue is on that particular day. So I'm not a fan at all of mandatory minimums or mandatory sentences.
We'll be right back. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this and some other topics related to this with our distinguished panel. Be right back.
Pull. Got it. You know, Harry, the other day, this guy I barely even know called me and asked me to buy him a firearm.
Oh, Mike, you want to stay away from that deal. Listen, if that guy could legally own a gun, he'd buy it for himself. Something's very fishy there.
Yeah, I sort of thought that was a bad deal. Pull.
We want to keep firearms out of the wrong hands. That's why I always tell people, get a copy of the Maine Gun Seller's Safety Kit.
Hello, I'm Dr. Grams, and I want to tell you about the benefits of hyperbaric therapy for helping people with strokes get back to doing the things they love to do. A wonderful aspect of this treatment is that it takes place in the comfort of your own home. This is a portable hyperbaric chamber, and we bring it to you. This therapy is comfortable. No work on your part is required. You rest comfortably while the chamber does its work. What are the benefits of hyperbaric therapy for stroke victims? My patients say they recover more fully and quickly, even years after a stroke. They get more improvement. They also report greatly improved walking and talking, and they are able to think more clearly too. Hyperbaric treatment also helps lift depression. For your free consultation to discover how you or a loved one can benefit from hyperbaric therapy, give me, Dr. Grams, a call at 1-866-95-ALIVE.
Hey, Travis. Get some friends, loser. Bro, you all right, man? Lean on me. Thanks. When you're not strong, and I'll be character. Pass it on. I'll help you care. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.